Oh, how I've been waiting for this moment. While Twisted Metal 3 and 4 were designed by 989, while Single Track was in the background still kicking some ass with the new game of Road Trip Vacation 2012. Sony Computer Entertainment, who's been meat riding hella hard this entire time, realized that 989 had screwed the pooch. In an attempt to save the Twisted Metal franchise, they handed it back to Single Track. Only now they changed their name. To Incog Inc.
That's when we set out to start Incognito on the new platform PlayStation 2 with Twisted Metal Black.
Black was tough because we knew we were getting the series back, me and the guys in Utah, and we knew we weren't relevant anymore. We knew that the industry had moved on. We knew that sort of what was edgy and cool in 1994, 5, and 6 was no longer edgy and cool in 2001. And so what I was in love with on Twisted Metal Black was the world, and the tone, and the characters, and the stories.
Before we go on, we needed to talk about the Sony PlayStation 2. It was announced in 1999. Sony began developing the console after the immense success of its predecessor, the Sony PlayStation 1. The highlight of the system was its Emotion Engine processor, co-developed by Sony and Toshiba, which was said to be more powerful than personal computers. The PS2 offered backwards compatibility for its predecessor's DualShock controller, as well as its games. The PlayStation 2 received widespread critical acclaim upon release. A total of over 4,000 game titles were released worldwide, with over 1.5 billion copies sold.
I remember reading an article of a guy who literally changed his name to PS2, and another article where somebody actually married the PS2. It's literally insane of how hype it is back in the days of the year 2000. So let's start with me. As I said before, I didn't know anything about Twisted Metal other than I know about Calypso and Sweet Tooth. Although I can tell you that I've seen Twisted Metal 4 in my uncle's PlayStation collection, back when I was like, I don't know, 5. Just in the short period of time before he even got himself a PlayStation 2 and a copy of Twisted Metal Black. To be brutally honest with you, this is the game that I'm more commonly familiar with when I was first introduced with this. This is also the first time I know what Sweet Tooth looks like currently.
Please, no, I got a family.
Shut
please,
up and bleed, you motherfucker.
Holy fucking shit, he is scary. The first time I saw him, he kinda reminds me of the clown from Narc.
Where the hell are you?
We're on our way.
Only he's more scarier than that fucking pansy.
To piss me off.
And the gameplay is glorious.
Don't mess with me.
The first boss is Minion, only now they added up the challenge.
Minion has 4 shield panels that needs to be destroyed in order to kill him. So let's talk about the weapons.
At first, I didn't even know how to destroy Minions' shield panels until I gradually understand the weapons loadout. You got your ricochets that can actually ricochet off of the walls and hit your opponent, and then you got your special weapon. Each character has their own unique special weapons, such as like Sweet Tooth and the Sweet Bot. The number right next to the green light is actually the minigun, which does twice the damage than your regular minigun, which seems simple enough until you get the color-coded missiles. The blue missiles are homing missiles that has more homing and less damage. The orange missile, known as the fire missile, has mid damage and homing missile, which is just a balance of those two. And then there is the red missile, known as the power missile, more damage, less homing. So even if you wanted to shoot the power missile, you would have to use a straight shot. Like you would have to line up with your target and just shoot the power missile straight onward. It doesn't even lock on to the target.
What my colleague is saying, use the minigun and or missiles to destroy the panels. Once destroyed, he's finished.
I was out like the dying heartbeat of a little girl.
I forgot how Twisted Metal Black's cutscenes are like badass in comparison to Twisted Metal 3 and 4. No, I'm serious, it's still impressive to this day in today's standards.
All my greatest achievements flashed before my eyes. The scale of what I'd done, the sheer volume of people I'd killed, it was breathtaking. But like all good things, it had to end sometime.
Aside from the cutscenes and the run and gunning of the gameplay, let's talk about the levels.
The first start of the level is the junkyard, which is standard. And this is where Twisted Metal for the first time has branching paths on level 2, 3, and level 6. The rest is just straightforward. Level 5 is Prison Passage, where you start in a small room with 2 opponents until it opens up and you're on a boat docking towards prison. Level 7 is the Skyscraper Rooftops, which is tradition to Twisted Metal. And the final boss is Warhawk.
Like Minion, he also too has a shield. So you're driving around dodging missiles and his ram attacks until one of the tanker trucks came from the roof and dropped onto the stage. What's weird is that as soon as you kill it, it's disabled. As soon as Warhawk just flew above it is when I realized that you have to disable the shield 3 times. Once the shield is destroyed, you better hope to have like homing missiles, fire missiles, and also the Saturn missiles that has a lock on. Once you do that, he's completely toast.
The contest was over.
Each character has their own endings and their own wish, which is 10 times better than Twisted Metal's 3 and 4, in my honest opinion.
Let's face it, boys and girls. A man has to have his priorities. I killed Calypso about as well as I ever killed anyone.
There's also the unlockables we forgot to mention. The drivers include Yellow Jacket, Axel, Warthog, Manslaughter, and Minion. This one is complicated, among the rest of unlockables, including stages. Yellow Jacket can be found from the start. It involves shooting a plane with a fire missile, which punches a hole to the sewers of the junkyard. Axel can be unlocked on freeway by shooting a fire missile to the crane cockpit, which lowers a cargo. Warthog is found inside a factory building in the suburbs map, where you need to land on the roof from the Carnival hillside. Manslaughter is tucked away underneath the ship of Prison Passage once docking in port.
And as for Minion, you're not gonna believe if I tell you this. In order to unlock him, you have to beat the game with every single last character. And yes, even including the secret characters. Now, as much as I wanted to go on a tangent of how's anybody else supposed to know that back in 2001, but thanks to the internet, we now know the information.
We would explain about the level unlocking and Minion's backstory in texts. We'll put the links down below for good measure.
With the success of Twisted Metal Black, Incog Inc. released another Twisted Metal in the same year in November, called Twisted Metal Small Brawl. What's different among the rest of the Twisted Metal games is that this is a kid-friendly version of Twisted Metal.
Released only on PlayStation 1, Twisted Metal Small Brawl is a more child-friendly spin-off title and related to previous titles. Small Brawl utilizes a C-car variants instead of actual cars. The game was originally going to be called Twisted Metal Kids, but the name was dropped. Twisted Metal Small Brawl was released 5 months after Twisted Metal Black, being released as a budget title for the original PlayStation.
I can already read the comments saying, why is this on PlayStation 1? Well, according to the Twisted Metal wiki, it says that it was originally going to be released on the PlayStation 2, and the graphics quality would have been comparable to Twisted Metal Black. But the idea was later dropped to avoid having 2 Twisted Metal games in the PlayStation 2 at the same time, and due to the most younger gamers having PlayStation 1 instead. That's fair argument. Similar to Twisted Metal's 3 and 4, Twisted Metal Small Brawl was not released outside of North America, nor was it digitally ported to Sony PlayStation Network due to the licensing issue with the game's music. Okay, I'm calling bullshit on that one because I don't see any copyrighted music anywhere in the game files. and they're just original music, so how could that be just a licensing issue? Whatever the case it might have been, I have no answers for. But overall, this game kicks ass in my book, so I highly recommend getting a physical copy if you don't have one.
Alright, moving on to Twisted Metal Head-On. It's interesting to note that this is the 7th game released in the Twisted Metal series. It was directed and produced by Scott Campbell at Incognito Entertainment, released a PlayStation Portable in March 24, 2005, and for PlayStation 2 on February 5, 2008.
I'm gonna go on a limb here that I don't own a PSP, although I will tell you that I have the PlayStation 2 copy of Twisted Metal Head-On.
Welcome back to Twisted Metal. I am Calypso. The entire planet is your battleground. Your prize, one wish. Let the games begin!
In case nobody else figured out that this is a true sequel to Twisted Metal 2, a true Twisted Metal 3 that the fans deserved. It's a lot better than Twisted Metal 3, which I would just critique it day and night just to explain how wrong it is with this one. It's like David Jaffe says, it's not a bad game, it's just a bad Twisted Metal game. Here, it's a pseudo-remake of Twisted Metal 2, but as a sequel, which I absolutely, of course, just love this much better than Twisted Metal 3 in comparison. It's worth interesting to note that this uses the Twisted Metal Black's engine, judging by the card that's on the road, the branching paths that just adds the replay value, as well as the unlockables of levels and characters, only now they have minigame challenges that you have to beat in order to unlock them. You can only find them in the pink teleporters that are just different than the other teleporters. In this minigame, you have to use the napalm launcher in order to destroy a helicopter and progress to the next stage and destroy another helicopter with a napalm launcher. It really does add the challenges, which I'll give Incog Inc. the benefit of the doubt. What's different than Twisted Metal Black is that as soon as you destroy your opponent, you actually get upgrades, making your vehicle an unstoppable killing machine. But the downside is that as soon as you get killed, you lose all upgrades, which is fair enough.
The first boss is Cousin Eddie, which is supposed to be a Christmas Vacation reference due to the RV design similarities. He spawns 4 ATVs in the battleground and needed to be destroyed before fighting Cousin Eddie. He fights the same as Minion, where you needed to destroy the panels to kill him, only now with armed gunmen.
Yeah, that's when I gradually realized that both of them have a very similar fight. Overall, it's a very good presentation. I would talk about the geographical location of each levels, but they're the same as like the ones in Twisted Metal 2, which there's nothing right home about. It's still a good game though. Tokyo Streets is the replacement level of Hong Kong, but not before, of course, having Tokyo rooftops being as tradition to Twisted Metal. The final boss is Dark Tooth.
That voice. That was Sweet Tooth, wasn't it? And hang on a minute, I thought Dark Tooth was destroyed in Twisted Metal 2. Is Charlie came back?
Yes, you did hear Sweet Tooth's voice, and sadly, Charlie Kane is not in the roster. Whoever this imposter is, he's dead meat, and... Holy shit!
What the actual fuck, my dude?
You have got to be fucking kidding. Apparently, there are two forms of the final boss.
What kind of Fisher-Price nightmare amalgamation is this? You have a huge clown head on a building that's suspended on a tower, followed by another clown head onto ice cream trucks with tank treads. What the fuck?
The only strategy that I found ways of defeating him is just ducking in between the buildings and just waylay him with missiles and minigun turret. Once you do defeat him, it's time for the fireworks. And the endings are a lot better than Twisted Metal 3's shitty ass endings.
Oh well, I guess we'll have to clean that up later. Now then, about your prize, Needles Cane, what is your wish?
You know, Calypso, I've been looking at this face for a long time. I think it's time for a change.
That's your wish? You want a facelift?
Not quite. We've been doing this a long time, haven't we? You hold a twisted metal, I kill and destroy for you. I make a wish, you can continue to sit on your throne, surrounded by your guards and women. I think you've had enough fun for a while.
Nobody makes you compete, Needles.
Right, of course not. Not at all.
Make your wish and claim your prize already. I have things to do that don't involve you.
Okay, pal of mine. I wish that you become me, and I become you.
Are you insane? I won't grant that wish.
I don't think you have a choice, Sunshine.
You see, what I say goes. This is impossible. Guards, kill the intruder!
Ooh, good idea. Do that. Looks like we've got two bodies to clean up now. Guards? and where did my women go?
My boy just took over Twisted Metal contest, which is a lot better than Twisted Metal 4. Well done.
The ending in Twisted Metal Head-On has actual good endings that are 10 times better than Twisted Metal 3 and 4. This, my friends, gets the stamp of approval.
Before we close out part 3, we have to talk about the lost levels. Unofficially, it was going to be called Twisted Metal Harbor City, which is a sequel to Twisted Metal Black. But sadly, the project was cancelled due to 6 key members allegedly died at the plane crash. What's interesting is that it has new levels which are very interesting and spacious. This is something that you would see in Twisted Metal 2012 with all its level creation and everything else. Of course, now I hear rumors that somebody else is actually making Twisted Metal Harbor City in development stages and also connecting levels. Overall, I could have wished to have seen a full gameplay of this. Stay tuned for the final episode of Twisted Metal Case File Edition.